Okay, good afternoon. I'm starting a little bit late today, but that's okay. Welcome to NWCR's Removing the Liberal Blindfold for this Monday, the 8th day of June in the year of our Lord 2020. Today's update shows the fallacy of the left and the right to call in their calls for to defund the police. From ABC 7 Chicago comes this one showing just how wrong these calling for getting rid of police are. 92 shot, 27 fatally in Chicago's most violent weekend of 2020. And now for what is going on. Can you imagine just what would happen without the police? This article I talked about here shows just the beginning. It's long, so sit back and listen. From the Sun Times Media Wire, Chicago, 27 people were killed and at least 65 others were wounded by gun violence in Chicago's most violent weekend of the year so far, which also saw widespread protests, riots, looting throughout the city in the wake of the Minneapolis police shooting of Floyd. And it's like I've been telling you folks, once they got violent, it was no longer about Floyd. More than half the weekend's victims were shot on Sunday as the city reeled from violent protests Saturday night that led to hundreds of arrests and an implementation of a curfew. Didn't seem to help, did it? The latest fatal shooting happened Sunday night in West Garfield Park on the west side. Officers responding to a spot shooter alert for a gunfire found the 18-year-old shot in the right side of her head at 10:51 p.m. on the 4200 block of West Van Buren Street, according to Chicago police. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Several hours before that, a man was killed and two other people were wounded in Austin on the west side. They were outside standing with a group about 8:30 p.m. in the 5100 block of West Madison Street when someone fired shots, according to the police. The 27-year-old man was hit in the leg and taken to Stroger Hospital. He was transferred to Mount Sinai Hospital where he was pronounced dead. An 18-year-old woman was also shot 3 times in the legs, and a 21-year-old man was hit in the foot. Police said both were taken to Mount Sinai in fair condition. Another man was killed about half an hour earlier in Burnside on the south side. He was driving about 8 p.m. in the 900 block of East 93rd Street when someone in a dark-colored Grand Prix started shooting, police said. The man was hit several times in the head and crashed his vehicle in the same block moments later. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Earlier that evening, one man was killed and another was injured in the back of the yards on the south side. They were in a vehicle at 6:43 p.m. in the 4600 block of South Marshfield Avenue when someone fired shots, the police said. A 26-year-old man was hit in the chest and taken to Stroger Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Another man, 20, was shot in the leg and taken to University of Illinois Hospital in fair condition. Another man was killed more than 3 hours before that in the same neighborhood. The 18-year-old was shot in the chest about 3:20 p.m. in the 4500 block of South Ashland Avenue, according to the police. He was dropped off at Stroger Hospital where he was pronounced dead. A man died after being dropped off at Westside Hospital with a gunshot wound less than an hour earlier. The 25-year-old was taken to Norwegian American Hospital at 1044 North San Francisco Avenue about 2:40 p.m. with gunshots to the right side of his neck and his upper back, police said. He was pronounced dead. It was not immediately clear where the shooting occurred. About 50 minutes earlier, another man was found shot to death in East Garfield Park on the west side. He was found with multiple gunshot wounds about 1:50 p.m. in an alley in the 3900 block of West Madison Street, the police said. He was pronounced dead at the scene. 10 minutes before that, 2 men were killed in Calumet Heights on the south side. The men, 39 and 31, were driving about 1:40 p.m. in the 1600 block of East 95th Street when someone in a dark-colored SUV pulled up and opened fire on their vehicle, police said. Both men were shot in the head and pronounced dead at the scene. Earlier Sunday morning, a 37-year-old man was found shot to death in Marquette Park home in a Marquette Park home on the southeast side. He was found at 10:05 a.m. inside the residence in the 3300 block of West 71st Street with multiple gunshot wounds, police said. The circumstances of the shooting remain under investigation. Nearly 5 hours before that, another man was killed in Austin. Someone in a vehicle pulled up beside the 25-year-old man and shot him multiple times about 5:25 a.m. in the 1200 block of North Mason Avenue, police said. He was pronounced dead at the scene. A 36-year-old man was fatally shot earlier Sunday in Inglewood. Someone in a vehicle pulled up and shot him in the chest and leg at about 12:37 a.m. in the 6800 block of South Laughlin Street, police said. The man, identified as Angelo Bronson of Ashburn, was pronounced dead at the University of Chicago Medical Center at 1:11 a.m., according to the police and the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. On Saturday night, a man was shot to death in River North amid downtown protest. Bernardino Mercado, 26, was walking on the sidewalk with another male at about 11 p.m. the 100 block of West Hubbard Street when he exchanged words with a male suspect in a car, authorities said. The suspect then got out of the car and started hitting the male with a handgun. He then shot Mercado in the chest before continuing to hit the other person with a gun. The suspect eventually got back in the car and drove away. Mercado, who lived on the Avondale on the northwest side, was pronounced dead at the scene, police and medical examiner's police officer said. 5 other people were injured in downtown shootings during the protests. Earlier Saturday night, a man was killed in a shooting in Belmont Central on the northwest side. Fernando de Leon, 34, was shot twice in the chest at 9:51 p.m. in the 2300 block of North Meade Avenue, authorities said. De Leon, who lived in the Belmont Central, was pronounced dead at the scene. Less than 3 hours before that, a 26-year-old man was shot to death in Chicago Lawn on the south side. Officers responding to a spot shooter alert at about 7:19 p.m. in the 2900 block of West 63rd found him with multiple gunshot wounds. Chicago police said he was taken to Christ Medical Center in Oaklawn where he was pronounced dead. The Cook County Medical Examiner's office identified him as Noel Dominguez of Berwyn. Earlier that morning, a man was killed in Austin. Officers found David L. Green unresponsive at about 8:30 a.m. in the 800 block of North Laurel Avenue with a gunshot wound to the left side of his body under his arm, authorities said. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Several hours before that, another man was fatally shot in West Pullman on the far south side. Gregory A. Lewis, 21, was riding in a vehicle at 2:54 a.m. in the 500 block of East 115th Street when someone shot him from a passing car, authorities said. Lewis, who lived in West Pullman, was hit in the neck and the chest and driven to Roseland Community Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Minutes later, a woman was shot to death in Avalon Park on the south side. Danielle P. Jones, 30, was standing on a front porch about 2:50 a.m. in the 8100 block of South Woodlawn Avenue when a male walked up and fired shots, authorities said. Jones, who lived in Gresham, was hit in the chest and taken to University of Chicago Medical Center, where she was pronounced dead. The weekend's first homicide left a 23-year-old man dead Friday in Inglewood on the south side. Deontay Fleming was on the sidewalk about 7:08 p.m. in the 1200 block of West 70th Street when someone in a vehicle shot him in the chest and side, authorities said. Fleming, who lived in Scottsdale on the south side, was pronounced dead at the University of Chicago Medical Center at 7:37 p.m. The weekend's non-fatal shootings, and the ones I've just talked about, are the fatal ones, folks. This is just for the weekend. Is that insane? And they want to get rid of guns? The weekend's non-fatal shootings included a person shot while protecting an Avondale liquor store on the northwest side of Sunday amid widespread looting in the city and suburbs. The male was protecting the Binny's Beverage Depot at 10:30 p.m. at 3934 West Diversey Avenue when gunshots rang out, according to the police. He was hit in the right arm and taken in good condition to Illinois Masonic Medical Center. Several teenagers were also among the weekend's victims. A man and a 17-year-old boy were shot Sunday night in Inglewood. They were sitting in a parked vehicle at 10:51 p.m. on Peoria Avenue when someone fired shots, the police said. The teen was hit in the left arm and back, while the 24-year-old man was shot in the right arm. Both were taken in good condition to the University of Chicago Medical Center. Saturday night, another 17-year-old boy was wounded in Ravenswood Manor on the northeast side. He was riding in a vehicle. On Friday evening, another teen was shot in Austin. He was 17 years old. At least 50 other people were hurt by gun violence across Chicago between 5 p.m. Friday and 5 a.m. Monday. Last weekend saw Chicago at its deadliest Memorial Day weekend in 5 years, with 10 shot dead and 39 others wounded. Early Monday, the Chicago Police Department announced that it would be delaying the release of its crime statistics from the month of May in light of the recent activity to ensure we have the most accurate statistics. And now to remove the liberal blindfold here, folks. And now, my friends, that was long. I know it. But it needed to be reported here. And the reason? While demonstrations have justifiably spread across the nation, calls for police reforms have gone from understandable to downright radical, including demands by prominent politicians to abolish major metropolitan police departments. The entrenched, radicalized views are reminiscent of the 1960s counterculture protesters whose deafening calls gave rise to the silent majority and the election of President Nixon. More than 50 years later, it's time for that silent majority to rise up again. And the other thing that hasn't really been mentioned here yet is that now Minneapolis City Council has voted almost unanimously to get rid of the police department. They have Chicago's fate to look forward to now because of that one. Because not one of these shootings and killings in Chicago, save the first one, that was in Minneapolis, was done by the police. They were all done by people. They were done by the protesters that the media, Hollywood, politicians, and Black Lives Matter, and, oh yes, I can't leave out George Soros, have started. And we are all saying the lawbreakers are the heroes here. Folks, these people are nothing more than the murderers and criminals that are no better than the cops that supposedly started this whole thing. It's all by plan, folks, just like the plandemic that has kept this nation locked down for too long. Now members of our Congress on both sides of the aisle and others are pandering to all this crap. And it is only for one reason and one reason only: to destroy America. And how are they doing it? First off, the plandemic. This was mostly fake from the word go. We have found out that they knew about this long before anyone else did, and it was actually implemented before 1976 when the government cracked down and tried to implement a SARS vaccine, saying that time is running out. Many people who fell for this got sick, and many got paralyzed from this vaccine, and yet the government didn't help anyone with this, nor did they apologize to anyone affected. They are doing the same thing now. But they have mandated now that everyone wear masks, and it's amazing how many people have fallen for this. Now for the masks and what they will do to you. According to the agencies in charge of all this, they have said it is just another step in the process to get a second wave of the virus to be more effective, making the virus more deadly. And the vaccine? It won't do anything but make people who took it let their guard down, and on top of that, they will continue wearing the masks. The masks will make them breathe in their own breath, CO2, and their own germs, keeping them inside and not allowing their bodies to get better, and in fact, keep their bodies sick for the next phase of this takeover. This was brought out by the formation of FEMA, which was formed only to bring out the New World Order in the United States. In March, Mike Pompeo, in a news conference, slipped and said, with Trump beside him saying, and he said, "We are in a live exercise here to get this right," unquote. Trump can be seen in the corner of the screen saying, "You should have let us know." A live exercise, folks, is a military exercise. Make no mistake here. You want a real disease? They plan to do this in the next few months. After that is shown a man on television telling us this, quote, "We are going to have this intermediate period of opening up, and it won't be normal until we get an amazing vaccine to the entire world," unquote. They are working to get us so scared, so intimidated of this fake pandemic that once they unleash the real disease, the real pandemic can be unleashed. And now we have all this crap going on in Chicago, and the people starting to cry out for defunding the police and getting rid of them. Well, all of this in Chicago is just a foretaste of what will happen when the police are gone. You want to know how this is really going to happen? With the masks, months and months of lockdowns, months of wearing masks to break down your immune system, having you breathe in your own breath, your own germs, your own system will start to break down. Not getting fresh air, one of the reasons I will not wear a mask. When I am outside, I breathe the fresh air. I don't breathe in my own breath and acidify my own blood. My blood will stay fresh with oxygen, not acidification. Doctors are even saying this, folks, and no, not the ones paid by the World Health Organization and the liberal factions of our government, but true doctors who are risking their own livelihood to let people know. Research, people, research. Stand up, because this isn't a real disease yet, but the real disease is coming. Stand up and show the government you know the truth. This live exercise is part of a plan that started years ago, and now they are setting it in motion. And all these people rioting are just a thing that's pushing what's actually happening to the background, because now everybody's starting to focus on these protests and the people protesting and people starting to vote to defund the police. Stop this insanity of blithely following the government's orders. We the people are the ones in charge, not the government. We are the real bosses here and will be till the government gets their way. Then you can kiss that one goodbye too. People, you are being warned, not just by me, but by many others, and it seems the people keep ignoring these warnings. One of these days soon, these warnings will be gone, and you will be living what we are trying to tell you to prepare for, and then it will be too late to save this republic. This may be your last chance to be free. I have a video on my Facebook page at https://www.facebook.com/rgarding. That's RGARDING, if you want to see the sequence of events leading us up to today and how to stop it. God bless America. God bless our troops. And as a friend of mine used to always say, we will not be ruled. This is Robert the Infidel, and I will see you again tomorrow unless I get banned for telling the truth that the government socialists do not want you to hear. I will always find those truths and try to report them. Have a good day.